and so on. It kind of, it's not really, it's just something, you know, creating a kind of expectation that is working much more on a different level, which is not really, I think, how much art practice is based upon, or it's much more on all this. I think it's really the marketing, you know, of fame and fashion, and so in that sense, of course, it's like there is a whole reciprocal, let's say, benefit that of course comes backwards, both in the music field and both in the art field. But I don't think it's really working on the level, you know, an exchange of, you know, knowledge, practice, whatever. And even if then Matthew Barney has been then, I don't know, or let's say Björk has been collaborating doing the soundtrack for the recent movie of Matthew Barney, and still I think that they're very much separate, independent kind of practice.
I don't know. I mean, have you seen the pictures, the series of pictures? That seems quite open to me.
Ah, you mean the one with the whale, or with the Japanese? I don't see really this major departure from, you know, Matthew Barney's previous, you know, kind of weird imagination. Of course, I mean, it's covering up like a whole new, let's say, sectors, but these kind of words of fantasy and so on, to me, it's not that much affected, you know, from any kind of improvement. That improvement, you know, really change from inner change. I think it's, I don't know, it stays more in the same already predefined areas of work, of production, in a sense. The kind of exchange that probably was happening in between different fields of, if we want to speak and to give examples, I don't know, in between music and art and things like this, like what was happening really back in the 60s. And since we were just now quoting, giving some examples like Fluxus generation, or I don't know, first minimalist generation of artists and musicians, I think that was really somehow having a different degree of exchange and reciprocal influence, in my opinion.
Because you think it was more experimental?
Yeah, but much more experimental, much more working on in the structures, how, you know, people were really thinking and influencing themselves, and really trying to challenge completely an economy of art production, art circulation, art communication, and the end concept of art. Nowadays, the concept of art, you know, whether they could be, you know, free, open, whatever, it just stays in this kind of golden domain of high fashion, advertisement, whatever. But, I mean, it's just, let's say, the wealthy level of collectorship. I mean, it has nothing to do really with the changing of mentalities and how really art is also a very basic parameter in changing your life and your vision of the world and your way of conceiving art as a part of your own life. Of course, maybe at that time it was still very much related to a very, I don't know if you'd call it idealistic, you know, vision of art that could really be part of life, and in that sense, I think most people like Fluxus, Yoko Ono, Machunas, whatever, they were not really, you know, having any distinction between what was, you know, cooking for some friends, and then doing the opening, and then doing, you know, special events and then collaboration.
Ono and this Rio was totally different, and yeah, I think Björk and the collaboration between Björk and Martin Barney is totally not experimental. For me, it's quite calculated, and it's a kind of a value kind of exchange. I mean, you know that, you know what happened. I mean, it is like calculated from not from the side of visual art, but from the side of pop culture, of fashion, of music industry. They use the word industry.
Madonna industry.
Yeah, I mean, it is a totally kind of different way of approach the audience and creating culture.
We still listen to Madonna exchange with some artists. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but the question was more like how come?
With Los Super Elegantes, something like this. That would be super
Elegantes.
Yeah. Madonna, I was like.
No, the questions were more like how come this kind of intrusion is not causing a stir like he used to do.
Ah, yeah.
But where do you see their social engagement I mean, Matthew Barney and Bjork, where in the combination in the couple,
Yes.
I mean, I don't see what you see, it seems, because I don't see the combination.
No, I don't see it. No, what I was saying.
I don't make the comparison to Yoko Ono and John Lennon because they did projects together, which were like big. And
no, what I was trying to say.
Your combination with.
No, what I was trying to say was something else. I was actually wondering why this kind of association between a contemporary artist and a pop star.
Yeah.
It's not causing a big stir like he used to do in the 60s.
Yeah, but
You think because it's not?
Because of their personality. It's not their first goal in the first place.
Because it's not?
Yeah, it's their personality, it's not their goal.
To what? To do what?
To make a collaboration and then to have this dream of changing the world.
So you think that people are not making a big fuss about it because it's
because it's not their goal at all.
I
mean, it's not because two minds come together that they work together and have a mutual goal to do
Maybe it's private.
So what you're saying is that basically contemporary art people don't feel that Matthew Barney is getting corrupted by this because it's in office.
Totally.
I don't see that in Matthew Barney's work. Is completely not socially engaged from the beginning.
I'm not so sure.
It's like
Well,
if Matthew Barney is not socially relevant. I think it's very socially relevant.
Vision in the first place because I didn't see what you see. I mean, I don't.
Well, it's not political, okay, but I'm not sure.
It can be political.
It can be political. I personally don't. I don't know. I personally think that Matthew Barney's work has been quite relevant socially.
I feel it as very aesthetical work, but I don't see the engagement to a public with having a big.
Well, he's a mystical.
Yeah, well,
he's a mystical artist.
He's not like a
building his own cathedral. I think it's quite something, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see him as a straight communicator and trying to change the big mass.
No, he doesn't want to communicate like that. But he can change a lot of things even by not being so open. I mean, Gerard Richter is the proof. He wasn't trying to change anything, and then his paintings are quite strong in that sense.
Yeah, but I think we're mixing up like different styles of art. Like
no, but I mean, art is. I think that art. Sorry.
I think that art. Still, also, we don't have to be rigid in claiming, really specific distinction. Like, okay, if we have really the political artist, which is really the one interested in changing society, and so it's the only one that we can claim as the one able to change your vision of the world and so on. Otherwise, I mean, we would only have, you only have, I don't know, Thomas Hirschman from one side.
We're only discussing and focusing on the works that were like very straight going to a big public.
No, I think that there is this power of, a kind of aesthetical involvement of the art project that still has a very, which is the most difficult things to figure out, imagine, predict, foresee, whatever, and still has this kind of political relevance. And exactly the example of, Gerhard
If
Richter.
that's in a silent way, and for example, like driving around with a fan like this, that's really like very straightforward.
Because of course, I mean, already, the comparison of a message with a symbol is powerful as that.
I mean, you can have discussions that is going to flow and all that.
Generate, and that's exactly how usually souls are generated and somehow spread all over. But of course, we have some kind of history, some, hook to reality, which of course is really the whole historical past here, which is not really like a neutral element. I mean, it's something that has, for instance, here a whole relation with the history of Germany, and of course Second World War and many things, and of course Berlin as a capital of a well-known kind of political regime only 8 years ago, and then of course a whole different layers, which of course is related now to biogenetics and so on, and medicine and the role of course of manipulations and so on, related to political history and to the past. So of course. But I mean, even I think in hooking up with, in that sense, works that doesn't have this immediate, because again the example of like Richter or could be also since we're here in Belgium, Lucht Mans, and then it's a picture, so it's